Good morning, Niner faithful. Saturday morning here, just getting into the live, just finished up the live stream with Grant over there on his channel. If you guys were over there watching this will be a continuation of that dialogue. If you missed that stream, then we're just starting fresh over here. You know me, I love to get into your comments, get into your questions, and read through those that are in the chat. So please do put those thoughts into the chat. Is there anything that came out of that conversation with Grant Cohn that you want to dive one step deeper on? Are there questions that you have about the San Francisco 49ers coming up on the Cincinnati Bengals that you want to discuss? Throw those into the chat and help me out by putting in the @RobSchuh when you type in questions towards me. That makes the chat so much easier for me so that I can avoid anything that's just back and forth between folks having a dialogue, which I love as well. I've got a couple of topics that I want to hit, but there were a few questions sitting in the chat and people that had already been here that I just want to recognize. Bebop Jones coming in. Let's go, Garoppolo. We need these wins. Yes, we do. Every single week feels like a playoff scenario for the 49ers. Yes, they can afford to drop a couple of games going through the rest of the season. I believe Matt Mayoko put a scenario out where they actually make the playoffs with a losing record. That would be wild to me. That's not what I'm looking for. That's not the kind of momentum I want to see going into the postseason for the 49ers. One and done is not what we're shooting for here. In order to get in and do any damage, the 49ers need to step up their game. We have SG Sports Talk channel coming in to say hello with a couple of questions as well. Love all your content on your channel. Thank you very much, SG Sports Talk channel. If you guys are in here, if you do like the content, please do hit the like button, the subscribe button. Again, it multiplies my ability to hit more Niner faithful, to get more dialogue in here, to get more points of view. And you know I am here for that. Interestingly, thoughts on Steve Young. That's my first topic. So I'm going to be getting into that on just a minute. I will come back to some of those questions around Debo or Josh Norman. I'll get into the Debo one real quick. I think he's going to play, but I think he'll be less of a central figure within the game plan than he has been traditionally. My guess would be that we don't see the same number of carries we've seen from him in games past, and I wouldn't expect his receptions to bounce back to where they were prior to the last two games where he just had the one reception. Isaiah made it over here from Grant's show over to this channel. It looks like Nicoyas did as well. Great collab with Grant today, Rob. What's your honest opinion on tomorrow's game? Do we have a chance to win this game? I sure hope so. That makes two of us. I absolutely hope that we do. I believe that we do. This sets up nicely for the 49ers in a couple of ways. It sets up nicely for the 49ers to get after Joe Burrow, and to force some turnovers in doing so. They're going to have to get after Joe Burrow because the secondary is very thin going into Sunday. May not even have Dante Johnson. Looks like he could miss the game for a personal issue, not health related. That would mean one of the rookies most likely starting on the outside. That would mean bringing in one of the practice squad players that someone like me hasn't even heard of. I mean, these were names I saw this morning of folks I know nothing about. And that's not what you want when you're going up against the three-headed monster in Cincinnati. And on the other side of the field, Jimmy's got to be able to feast over the middle. Cincinnati has suspect linebackers, and their best linebacker is out this game. The 49ers have to take advantage of that while not shifting the game plan to be too pass-heavy. Kyle can get cute in that way. He can get away from the run. If he's going to get cute tomorrow, he needs to be creative in the run game that he designs. Yes, Niner Faithful came over from the show with Grant. Appreciate it. Harold coming in to say hello to everybody. Future GOAT, I bet you a donation that Trey will play this week. In the presser, Kyle gave that little smirk, almost a nudge, and said that he still loved the unexpected of Trey coming in. He also did it with the cornerback. Yeah, with Ambry Thomas talking about pushing some of the starters. Hey, I love that. I hope you're right, future GOAT. I believe that is the way to spark creativity within this offense. That is the way to jump up over the Cincinnati Bengals, and the 49ers absolutely need to get out to a quick start, need to establish the run, must lead in time of possession. Can't have their defense out there getting exhausted on the field. Harold coming in to say hello. Karthik coming in to say hello. Javier asking, haven't we always beat the Bengals? There is some track record of success of the 49ers beating the Bengals, in particular in big games. Make the believer. Hi, Rob. Love your commentary. Thank you. Appreciate you coming in. Let me know if I mispronounced the first one, but that would make sense. Make the believer. So that sounds right to me. Nick from the Mo coming in with a donation. Appreciate that, Nick. Absolutely do. If you meant to ask a question with that, throw it in the chat. I will get to it. Jason Walsh. Hey, Rob, keep up the great content. Thank you very much. Again, if you do like the content, please do me the favor of liking the content below. It helps to amplify the signal. Love it. Ooh, we got a first timer coming in. Brainbow. Hey, man, first time here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, Peter doing the @Schuh. Any @Rob Schuh, @Rob, @Schuh. Those are the easiest comments. I love it. What if it's the other way around and Kyle isn't ready for Lance? Well, that's what he would have us believe, that he's not ready to call the plays for Lance, that he's a rhythm play caller and that it disrupts his rhythm. Steve Young described this. He catches a scent of weakness for the defense and then pounces, attacks, relentlessly attacks. And he has said that in having Jimmy in there, he begins to see how the defense is playing Jimmy. When he shifts to Trey, the defense shifts as well. And now he has to figure out how they're playing Trey to discern the weakness there and attack it. So I get that, but I think it's a pretty weak reason not to bring him in on some plays at some point. All right, Rohit, @Rob Schuh. Do you think Jimmy G's arm strength is widely overblown? Yes. Because we've seen him throw 50 yards deep, but usually his bad mechanics lead him to avoid those shots. His injuries affect his throwing. I think all of those statements are true. Yes, he is capable of making those throws, probably not as consistently as you would like to see. And therefore, I think his confidence in those throws is low. I think Kyle's confidence in his ability to hit those throws is low. Therefore, they don't call those throws all that often. And yes, I do believe that Jimmy has struggled in coming back from that knee injury. This is the first year that he's really going, without the brace, right? But he still talks about it. It still is on his mind. So you have to think that affects his confidence. JB, that's it. Coming in. Love that show with you and Grant. You guys come with some think out of the box points. That's what we like to do, is get into a dialogue. I like to challenge Grant because he's great at creating dialogues. And so I come up with topics that allow us to play on other sides of it and really get into the nitty gritty. Sometimes it brings out some conspiracy theories for him, but I'm always the Occam's razor guy that is the simplest explanation being the most likely. All right, Isaiah was asking, any faith that Thomas has a big game? We talking about Ambry Thomas? Man, I hope so. Wouldn't that be sweet? No, I don't have faith in it, but I'd love to see it. Texas Niner in the house. I thought Steve Young said the years he was on the bench were wasted years. I think it's very possible that Trey's transition to the pros is being hurt by not playing him. Grant's take on what? All right, let me get into my topic. I'm going to get back to the comments. Again, if you leave in there the @Rob Schuh, it makes it easier. So I'm going to need to catch up in the comments when I come back from my topic. But the first one I want to talk about and get your responses to is the Steve Young interview. I thought there were a lot of interesting takeaways from it. The first one I want to get into is the issue of trust and the lack of it with Jimmy and Kyle. He said as much coming off of a Super Bowl year wherein the 49ers were in the Super Bowl, leading the Super Bowl for the vast majority, a hair's breadth away from winning their 6th Lombardi trophy. And then you come into 2020 and it was obvious that Kyle Shanahan did not have a level of trust for his quarterback. It seemed obvious in the lead up to the Super Bowl that although he had some gunslinging moments in 2019, the Saints game being the most common one that we all point back to, I certainly point back to it a great deal because I was at that game and Jimmy lit the frickin' field on fire, and it was something to behold. And he hit some deep shots and he proved he was capable. But yes, I thought that it was a mistake coming into the championship game to have so few passes. It was a mistake to show your starting quarterback that you have a lack of faith in his ability to read the field, in his ability to make clutch throws, because I don't think that's necessarily fair of Jimmy Garoppolo. He is inconsistent, yes, but he is also good at moments. He is also clutch in moments. So the trust issue is a big one, and I think it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Kyle doesn't have the trust he needs to have in Jimmy Garoppolo. He therefore doesn't call the plays he should call in order to attack defenses the way Steve Young describes, that there is a lack of trust between the two. So Kyle smells blood in the water, but he doesn't trust that Jimmy's going to execute in the way he wants to attack. That is a root issue. If they cannot solve it, they have to move on. If you cannot trust your starting quarterback, time to move on to Trey. Unfortunately, the message that he's sending with Trey is that Trey's not ready either, that he hasn't established the trust with Trey. And therefore, it leads you to believe that maybe the trust issue emanates from Kyle. The next point that I thought was very interesting was around the idea that Trey would get the most out of starting right now. And that's what Texas Niners talking about there, that this is valuable time for Trey. I think there was some mixed messaging in there because he did talk about that you could take stuff away from being on the bench. And Young himself had some time on the bench. He saw that as wasted time. I do wonder, he came in as a veteran. He came in with experience. He came in having played in the NFL. Trey is not Steve Young, right? Trey is coming out of college, a very inexperienced college player, someone who does need to get used to the speed of the NFL. He didn't play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers before coming to the San Francisco 49ers. And you have seen what can happen to certain rookie quarterbacks. Alex Smith is a prime example where he indicated coming in too early hurt his development. David Carr, playing his entire rookie season, certainly hurt his development. I don't think that this is either one of those scenarios. Alex Smith had an atrocious offensive play caller and offensive coordinator. That's not the case for Trey Lance. The Houston Texans with David Carr had an atrocious offensive line that allowed a league-leading number of sacks that damaged David Carr's confidence. I also don't think that's the case with Trey Lance. I agree with Steve that Trey Lance would be getting more experience, more positive learning if he were getting snaps. I don't need that to be Trey Lance starting. I'd be fine with the 5 to 8 snaps a game. And yes, I think Kyle could find a way to work him in that did not disrupt his rhythm as he described his problem. All right, the next point I wanted to tackle with regard to the Steve Young interview was the idea of learning by sitting. He talks about needing to attack the preparation. Must have discipline in doing it. You need to mentally and physically attack the preparation as if you are going to be the starter in the next game. You've got to practice those reps as if they are going to be yours game day. Nick Mullen was great at this, the mental reps that he took on the field. Many people talked about just how special his preparation was, and it showed. A guy with limited physical abilities that was able to come in and have some success in this league speaks to his level of mental preparation. So you need discipline in order to execute that. Does Trey have that? That is exactly what Trey has. That's everything I know about him from reading the in-depth pieces that some of our wonderful beat reporters within the San Francisco 49ers reporter crew have said about him. He used to wake his dad up every morning to go work out, right? His dad was always down to go work out, but as an ex-NFL player, didn't want to force Trey into those scenarios, didn't want to force him to get up every morning and put in the work that it would require for Trey to become a professional athlete. He wanted the onus on Trey. He wanted the motivation to come from Trey. And therefore, he let him know, I will always get up with you to work out in the morning at some ungodly hour, but it's on you. You got to wake up. You got to set your alarm. You got to get up. You got to come into my room and let me know, and then I'm up. Trey did that. Trey didn't miss a day. I have faith that Trey will continue to get better even while on the bench because it fits in lockstep with what is needed in order to do that. Steve also acknowledged that the reason Trey's sitting must be because Kyle doesn't think he can contribute, because he specifically said if he could contribute, Kyle would definitely have him in there. I'm on board with that 1,000%. I don't buy into conspiracy theories. I think Kyle Shanahan wants to win games. I think he has an ego that if he believed that Trey Lance gave him a better shot to win games, regardless of what anyone in the locker room or anyone in the organization thought contrary to that, Kyle's ego is big enough that he would put Trey in and prove himself right if he believed that Trey added to those packages. I have to interpret that as Steve Young does, that in fact, he doesn't have faith that Trey adds that. And for whatever reason, I don't think that speaks to Trey's future readiness. I don't think that speaks to Trey's abilities. It just speaks to how ready he is at this moment. I did love my last bit before getting back to your comments. I loved the bit about Kyle being like his dad, having the nose for weakness on defense, and then attacking the defense relentlessly. I thought that was a great illustration of what Kyle does and does support his belief that he's not quite as good in rotating from quarterback to quarterback, because he does want to sniff out those weaknesses on the defense and then wants to pounce all over them. And the weaknesses on defense shift depending on which quarterback they are having to defend. So if he's discerning weaknesses and he rotates quarterbacks, he now has to discern two separate weaknesses. One weakness when they're playing Jimmy and the other when they're playing Trey. I tend to think that 11-on-11 advantage of having Trey in there with his ability to run would give enough advantage that is the defense's weakness. That you can do what you want at that point and dictate to the defense what you're going to do when Trey's on the field. So I'm not buying that excuse. I think they need to get Trey on the field. We got a few people who are new subscribers, and I love it. J-Tan is subscribed. SG Sports Talk channel is subscribed. If you like the content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Makes you a part of this little team that we got going on here. All right, Rick Muniz at Rob Schuh. If Lance, let me kill this banner here so that we just get to your comments. Just to your comments. If Lance does not get any playtime this year, what will your expectations be for next year? I will be worried about next year. I will be concerned about what do we have there, because I need to know what the 49ers are seeing in practice. I need to know that we can win with Trey Lance. And right now, it's just a big unknown. Tabular Bike coming in at Rob. Our corners are going to get destroyed by the Bengals receivers. I see the Bengals dropping 40 on us. If they drop 40 on us, I am hard-pressed to believe that the 49ers can overcome that. So my hope is we can generate enough pressure to cover up for those cornerbacks. Yes, it's a huge deficiency at cornerback against the three-headed monster that is Cincinnati's wide receiving crew. But we do have Nick Bosa. We do have Eric Armstead. We do have DJ Jones. We do have a litany list of minor contributors that are all capable of one individual sack. We need multiple players along the line to step up to complement Nick Bosa in the hopes that we can actually get to Burrow. Jamie Bryant, what's up, Rob Schuh? Always stay faithful, but be aware. Can't sleep on the Bengals. That is a fact. Make the believer. Much love, Rob. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the love. Appreciate it. William Bennett. Hey, Rob, keep doing a great job. Appreciate the words, William. Armando coming in with the super chat. Great work, Rob. Any chance Lance sees some action? I think you have to. You have to get creative with the run game, and Lance is the way to do that. Yes. Fat build coming in from the Grant show. Love the fact that people have transitioned over. At Rob Schuh, he also was weirdly chill about the trade questions, which just reassures my theory. Your theory on, I'd have to go back and look. My memory is too bad to remember what the previous comment was. But yes, to getting Trey in. I think you were saying that Trey is going to get some snaps, that it was the smirk in the presser. I hope you're right. I really do. Isaiah at Schuh, any faith that Ambry Thomas has a bigger game than people are anticipating? I think that there's a hope. I don't know that we can expect it. Texas Niner at Rob. Problem with Kyle saying he's letting the defense dictate what plays he calls makes no sense. Kyle just needs to call the plays that they have practiced on. Yes, dictate to the defenses what you're going to do instead of allowing defenses to dictate what you do. At Rob from William Bennett, shut hella of great job. I think that's a compliment, William. I'm guessing typo and compliment. I will take it. Marco coming in. Schuh, did you hear Steve Young's interview? Yes, I did. Just went through it. I feel he's frustrated that Trey is not starting. I think we all are a bit frustrated at the fact he's not starting or playing. I'm not frustrated that he's not starting. I'm frustrated he's not getting snaps. Callie coming in. Rob, the one player flying under the radar on our defense is DJ Jones. He does not fly under the radar on this show. On this show, DJ Jones gets lots of love and his barbecue sauce. Big Dave's barbecue sauce, his dad's barbecue sauce. Seems like a great family. I love talking up DJ Jones. Finishing the comment here. He's been really playing solid for several games. Do you think we re-sign him this offseason? He better be a priority re-sign for the 49ers. He is playing at a very good level, and beside him, we don't have much to stop the run game. He's going to be very important against Joe Mixon on Sunday. Jamie Bryant at Rob Schuh, are you going to the game? If so, cheer for me. I am not. I'll be here in Portland. I'll do a pregame show tomorrow. I'm going to have Silverado Kev on the program to join me for the pregame. We will go live 1 hour before kickoff, up to kickoff, and then I'll have my usual post-game show where we talk through what went down. All right, Chris Royal coming in. I get Shanahan's argument as well, but to not bring him in on the plays that he would significantly change the dynamic of the play, like run-pass options and bootlegs, is just mind-boggling. Isn't it, though? It is frustrating to realize that we could be stressing the defense, and we're not. Ethan, am I the only fan that doesn't care too much about making the playoffs? Unless we win the Super Bowl, then I don't see the point of this. Play Trey. I have to disagree. As a fan, I believe making the playoffs matters. I'm not a fan of the whole win a Super Bowl or bust thing. That would minimize what happened in 2019, in 2012. Those are special seasons. Just because you don't win the Super Bowl, I don't think it completely takes away from that whole year. I would rather have a winning record, have more Sundays where I'm happy and impacted by my 49ers winning than ones where they're losing. But I understand that there are people who are just about the championships. I am not. I'm a bit more old school in appreciating what is special about each individual season. Niner faithful. Rob, what cornerbacks are you interested in the Niners drafting? I have yet to do my draft research for next year. Tabular Bike at Rob, why not have the rookie make rookie mistakes instead of the 30-year-old getting paid $27 million a year? That's the question I want Kyle Shanahan to answer more honestly. By the actions, we have to interpret that he believes that Jimmy gives us a better chance to execute the offense and to win games. Jorge at Rob Schuh, did you sell Akello Witherspoon to... Did you see Akello Witherspoon's 2 interceptions versus the Vikings last week? Met him in downtown Sacramento. Couldn't be a nicer guy. Our secondary sure is missing someone like him right now. I thought that when I saw him out there for Pittsburgh. It seems like a good fit for him, and I'm happy that he's having some success. I always root for Niner players, even if they're no longer with the team. You know, I wish it had worked out for us. You know, it didn't. It didn't. He moved on. I'm glad he's having success with Pittsburgh and not Seattle. Thank goodness Seattle let him go. RE Investor, good stuff, Rob. I want to send out my wishes that everyone will please say a prayer, if you are so inclined, for the good people of Kentucky who just underwent deadly weather events. Thanks. I saw that on the news this morning on a ticker that there had been some devastation from tornadoes. My heart goes out to everyone impacted by that. I hope that those families can get to safe places and recover from that tragedy. Jamie Bryant, yes, Trey Lance has all the tangibles and Trey has a great arm, but does not get his just due. He needs to get more opportunities to show us exactly what he can do. That would be the best way for 49er fans to have faith that next year we can hand it over to him and be okay. Coach's viewpoint, Rob Schuh. Good stuff, Rob. I want to send out my wishes that everyone will please. Oh, this is back to the folks of Kentucky. Yep, our hearts are definitely with them. Once fighting makes a lot of sense. That's probably why Kyle is watching so far down the field when the offense is in. Yeah, he likes to take that angle so that he can see what defenses are doing in response to his offense. Again, it allows him the opportunity to find the weaknesses, the weak spots in the defense, and then he pounces on it like a wild animal. Brainbow, what do you think of the performance of the O-line since replacing Mike McGlinchey? Mixed, I would say. Not great against Seattle. If we can get the run game established, that puts us in a far better position. Brunskill and Tom Compton are far better against the run than they are against the pass. Both are susceptible to bull rushes. Both seem like liabilities going into this game against Cincinnati if we drop back to pass 30 to 35 times. That would feel like a mistake. The game sets up that we could try to take advantage of Cincinnati's weak middle of the field. But in doing so, you're now potentially opening up a game plan that is not one that we want, right? We want to run the ball. That is the 49ers' identity, and they need to stick with it. Force the ball down Cincinnati's throat by running it. Maintain time of possession. Minimize the chance for turnovers. The most turnovers for the 49ers happen when Jimmy drops back and gets sacked and fumbles, or throws one of those picks to a linebacker that just drops back into coverage and he misses and doesn't see and seems to throw the ball right to him. To minimize those chances for turnovers, to win this turnover battle, it's all about running the ball consistently, constantly. It doesn't need to be 4 or 5 yards a carry. It can be 3 yards a carry, but you have to stick with it. J10, I'm with you. Lance's legs could be the X factor in this game plan. Texas Niner, Bebop Jones, excited about the barbecue sauce. Got to get me some of the DJ Jones, Big Dave's barbecue sauce. Random McMahon in here with the beard compliments. You always know that I will put those up on the screen. Make the believer. Seattle always crowds the box and turns us one-dimensional. Kyle has to be better than that. Man, always disappointing us. Not always. The weeks prior, he had run the ball consistently. We were getting 40 carries a game. Let's trend back to that. Make the believer. Oh, wow, you're up in Portland. Cool. I lived in Beaverton, Tualatin, Tigard, and Gresham, so I know the city. I'm here outside of Sacramento now, going to the Atlanta game in Levi's next week. We need people to be loud for Atlanta. Remember that sets up as a bit of a trap game. It happened in 2019. Got to take the Falcons seriously. It sounds like you've lived around the entire perimeter of the Portland city. I am in Portland, right in the heart of Northeast Portland, out in the middle of the little neighborhoods out here. I love it. I've lived in California as well. I went to school in Stockton, California, so I've definitely spent a lot of time in Sacramento. Beautiful area. I struggle with the summer heat. Texas Niners, W's and playoffs equal happy Niner fan right here in Tejas. It makes for a happy Niner fan here in Portland, PDX as well, Texas Niner. Leo R, sup faithful, prediction. Niners win 27-17. Jimmy has a good game, and Lance convo calms down, making me want to put my head through a wall. I hope you're right about that prediction. I had it in my earlier week prediction that I'm sticking with 31-24 Niners. Yes, I'm predicting the win here. I think this sets up well for the Niners. Yes, the Bengals are not allowing a whole lot of yards rushing, but average yards per carry, 4.1. If the Niners can average close to that in yards per carry and get 30 carries, this sets up very nicely for them. Very nicely indeed. All right, Mike and Mars, we have to make playoffs for Kyle's stock. Yes, Kyle and his crew are on the hot seat. Let's not understate that. They need a winning season so that fans back off a little bit, so that there's not heat applied. Bebop Jones loving the indeed. Texas Niner, got to take off, y'all. I'll hit up your session tomorrow, Rob. He'll be here for the pregame. Texas Niner, always appreciate the chats. All right, Jacob, can you say hi to me? Go Niners from Cali. Score prediction. What's up, Jacob? I bobbled the name there. Bobbled the snap. What's up, Jacob? All right, La Pacalolo. Finally have the time to get on your live stream. Go Niners, go Bosa. Need to sack Burrow many times to help the cornerbacks. Multiple sack game is needed, and the 49ers defensive line has been able to take advantage of suspect offensive lines. They did so against Seattle last week, taking advantage of a porous Seattle offensive line, and I think that they can do so again against this suspect line, in particular on the right side of it. Right guard and right tackle are the weakness for that team. Kirk Reynolds, Niners have the best safety room in the NFL, rolling in from the Cohn zone. Love it, Kirk. I'm hoping that Jimmy Ward can have another multi-pick game. Multi-pick game. Come on, Jimmy. Make it happen, Jimmy Ward. All right, my name's pronounced as George, but all good. Still much love for the channel. Sorry about that, George. Appreciate it, and I will attempt to remember that going forward. Sometimes when I see that spelling, I just assume Jorge, but I am now making a note that it is George. Thank you, George. Patrick Henry, we should be looking at adding some additions in free agency to help the team on both sides of the ball. Free agency is going to be tough this year. The 49ers do not have much cap space. They're going to have to make wise decisions, Patrick, but I'm with you. They've got holes to fill. Coach's viewpoint, I think Trey's time will come. I sense he'll get more play time as the season goes forward. Fans need to be patient and let things take their course. Kyle knows what he is doing. He's a pro. Yeah, listening to Steve Young, doesn't that renew your faith in Kyle Shanahan? When a Hall of Fame quarterback says to you, yes, I wish I had played for this man. I wish I had been in this offense. It just makes me feel confident about my sticking with Kyle Shanahan even through the thin times this year. Yes, he is an offensive genius. Yes, he does lack in some other areas as a head coach, but man, I'll take the offensive genius all day. Make the believer. Talanoa Hufunga needs to have a good game. Ward, Norman need to get pressure from our monsters in the trench. Could not agree more. We are going to need playmakers, and we are going to need those in the trenches to dominate. Armando, with Elijah Mitchell out, how will the Niners attack the Cincinnati Bengals defense? Wouldn't this be the prime opportunity to give Lance a few read option plays? Yes, it would. They need to get creative with the run game. Been saying it all morning. I believe that you have to get the standard runs going with Jeff Wilson Jr. Hope that JaMychal Hasty has enough speed to get around the edge to bring you a little bit of what Elijah Mitchell would bring you. But then you do need to give Deebo Samuel some snaps. You do need to stress the defense. And you need to get Juice involved. And one way to get real creative and make it 11 on 11 is using Trey Lance. Randon McMahon, love Randon, have him on the show several times and will continue to do so. You all know him from this show. Randon asks, what do you make of the 49ers not making Lance available to the media? We talked about this on the Grant show, for those of you who saw that. I think that it's protecting Lance, and I'm glad that they're doing it. I understand the media's desire to speak to Lance. I think the questions that need to be answered about Lance need to be answered by John and Kyle. And I do wish that John and Kyle would answer those questions without acting as if these questions shouldn't be asked. You made this situation, John and Kyle. You created this. You need to answer for what fans want to know. They're not wrong for asking these questions. We're not wrong for wanting to have a little faith that this draft pick we put so much into will be able to contribute next year if and when the 49ers move on from Jimmy Garoppolo. That would be my take on it. Deflect those questions to the men at the top and not force Lance to answer for other people's issues. J10, what is this special jersey Trey Lance was wearing for best player on the scout team this week? It's an award that goes out because of his ability to replicate what Joe Burrow would do, that he was the scout team player of the week. Just an award that recognizes contributions on scout team. I do think it's a positive, though. Make the believer. Is Mitchell going to be our starting running back? Still hurt. He is officially listed as out. Silverado Kev, who is going to be joining the program tomorrow with me. My fears with Mitchell out. Kyle leans heavily on Debo, fresh off injury. Silverado Kev, we need to talk about this tomorrow because he can't do that. It would be such a big loss if Debo got re-injured. Even if we won the game, if you had to shut down Debo for the remainder of the season, man, that would be a big, big L. Greg Thames pointing out 30 carries. That's what's needed. But we are running out of running backs. Yeah, we are going to have to promote Brian Allen from the practice squad. Guy's been on the squad for less than a week, and he may get a snap or two. That is not a good place to be. Mike and Mars, when Trey starts next season, I think he will start off slow, but by week 6 or 7, he will have a game that will wow us all, and then the wheels will start moving. Man, I like that. I hope he starts quick, but I like the idea that we will actually get to see some lighting the world on fire. William Bennett, love that you held a before and after show. Great job, 49ers for life. Yes, I do enjoy a pregame and a postgame, right? Get my thoughts on the game going into it. I'm going to have Silverado Kev there with me. We'll be batting around some ideas, and then you got to respond afterwards. Even if it's a tough loss, you got to come back and admit where you were wrong, because I'm predicting the Niners to win it. Coach's viewpoint, I'll go out on a limb and give a score for this game. 49ers 28, Bengals 24. It's going to be a squeaker. I feel they are talented and pissed after losing, as we are. Slugfest coming. You know I'll take a good game any Sunday. I love it. Jason Walsh, I am very worried about our cornerbacks, but we need to control time of possession. It will be key. Must rest the defense. Jason Walsh is hitting the nail on the head there. Make the believer. If you aren't already, you should be the main sports beat writer for the Oregonian. Everybody needs to know the Schuh. Do you write for any blogs or websites? I contribute on the SI site with Grant Cohn for the 49ers. Although I am not a regular contributor, I do have the occasional article that I think are quite good. I appreciate the compliment. Rick, does it worry you that Bosa and Burrow are good friends? Do you think it will affect Bosa's attack? No, I think he will attack that much harder because of it. Luke Luna coming in with the super sticker. Much appreciated, Luke. Thank you, as always. Swift Dog 49er. Show is fire. Let's get positive vibes going so they feel it. 49er faithful. Let's go. Come on, Niners. This one's to you, Swift Dog 49er. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. All right, Greg Thames asking a great question here. When are you going to start film study over here? I'm going to start soon. Being the lack of techie that I am, I had to actually figure out how I could get, because I also am not a fan of bootleg film. And so I want to pay for the film through the NFL, get proper access to it, and then bring it on the channel. And in order to do so, I had to figure out how I could get some sort of a screen capture software going. I think I have it in the works. I am going to attempt to bring that in. Thank you very much. And Greg complimenting the show. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. But yes, I do want to step up with the film review. William Bennett coming in with the super chat. Remember, sweep the leg. That was Silverado Kev's message to all of us, is you cannot let up. And we did against Seattle. We didn't sweep the leg. Seattle was the Karate Kid in that scenario. It is not a good scenario. It was not a good scenario last week. We've got to do better. All right, show's going to be coming to a close in just a minute. I'll get to a couple more comments, but I've got a hard out that I gotta go. But Matt Schuh coming in here, not brought up enough. Mac has botched some critical exchanges. He's got to clean that up. Disappointing for a vet like him. Yes, you would like greater consistency. I've seen good and bad from Mac. He's not the weak point on the line, but you would like to see more strength from that position with such a sturdy veteran. Potentially too much of a veteran could be the issue. All right, George, coming back in. That's crazy you went to high school in Stockton. No, I went to UOP. I went to college in Stockton, but I'll finish the comment. I went to high school in Escalon, about 20 minutes away from Stockton by Modesto. I know the area. My friend went to high school in Stockton with Brandon Cooks. Oh, nice. You know who else is from Stockton? Eric Crocker, a great YouTube personality, ex-NFL cornerback, and 49er faithful member. All right, Schnozzle Shabizzle coming in. That's just a fun name to say, so I had to bring it up. What up, Schuh? Keep them coming. We'll keep watching. Enjoy your weekend, big one. I appreciate it. If you do like the show, please do hit the like button before you leave. It'll help more people see this show afterwards. Make the believer is a believer now. Coach's Viewpoint, we're going to end on this one here. Rob Schuh, it's nice to see the positive energy in the chat. You're on your way to a huge following, Rob. Let's keep it going. Pump up that energy and let the 49ers feel it. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we do want the 49ers to feel our energy. I will be here in Portland rooting them on tomorrow. You know that I will have my pregame show. Silverado Kev is going to join me. You know he and I put out great content together. We got a good vibe going on, and I will be live again post-game as well. Let's hope the 49ers are able to get creative in the run game, that Jimmy is able to take advantage of the middle of the field, that our defensive line is able to feast on Joe Burrow and force the turnovers that the 49ers need to win the turnover battle and win the game. Until tomorrow, 49er faithful, thank you for joining me. As always, I appreciate you being here in the chat. Cheers to you. I'll see you tomorrow.